Hello and welcome. So today we're going to be talking about the pink ray of love. So along this color spectrum journey we've gone from the reds to the oranges and the golds to the yellows. And then we take a break in the color spectrum when we think we'd go now into green, but we're all actually going into pink. So pink is the ray of love, but more specifically, it really encompasses unconditional love and transcendent love. Pink brings us into the high heart. So the high heart is within the matrix of our heart, and it is where our soul and highest self sits, and where that frequency of unconditional love sits within us. And because it is married with our soul, it brings this frequency of being able to transcend. And we're going to talk a moment about that. So in the rest of our heart, we have a lot of emotion, right? So our hearts are one of the primary places where we express and feel things. And so we also feel grief. We also feel sadness. We carry wounds within our heart. And our high heart is untouched. It carries unconditional love always within us, and we always have access to it, even when we are going through tremendous grief and sadness or healing deep wounds that live in the rest of our heart. What unconditional love and transcendent love teaches us is how to love without attachment. And so within this, we often receive the lesson of sacrifice, of having to sacrifice our attachments in order to come into a higher frequency of love. And this is an initiation. The guides for us in this ray are the Divine Mother and the Divine Father. Those are our two divine archetypes. And there is a difference between our own experience of our mother and father, or one or the other, whatever we had growing up, and whoever may have held those roles for us in a human way throughout our life, whether they were our actual birth mother and father or not. We have many mother and father figures in our lives. So there is that level of our own human experience of the mother and father, as well as being a mother and father ourselves. And then there is the divine mother and father. And these archetypes hold the highest frequency of both the mother and father. And so for us in this journey with the pink ray is to be able to heal whatever wounds we may have regarding those two archetypes in our lives from our own childhood experiences and from our own adult experiences playing the role of mother and father, so that we can learn how to embody the divine mother and father. The divine mother and father love without attachment. The divine mother is, I believe, the most powerful and important archetype in our lives. I mean, think about it for a minute. The mother was the first relationship any of us had. All of us. Even if we were not raised with our birth mother, even if we were adopted, our life began within the womb of our mother with our whole sense of selfhood as part of our mother. We were merged with her. And so she created us, she nourished us within her womb, and we came through her portal. And so that relationship is really key to healing within our lives. I believe that healing the mother wound is the most powerful work we can do in our lives. If we do anything, that's what we need to do. Because coming into relationship with the mother and then the divine mother is learning how to love without condition, how to love without compromise, and how to love while also letting go of what we love. I often see this archetype in one of the animals that lives all around my area here, in the deer. If you witness the doe with her fawns and how they are so vulnerable, and how this doe walks as love with grace, with trust, and with total surrender, knowing at any moment a predator could easily take her baby away from her. And yet she loves unconditionally. She loves without attachment. That doesn't mean that she's not going to feel pain and grief and sorrow if her baby dies and is killed, but she continues to walk as love. And so if you witness how another great archetype of the mother, Mother Earth, right? She's one of our great mothers. We all at one point came through her. And how she loves all her children, all of us, all the plant life, all the animals, without attachment or condition. She allows us to mess up. She allows us to have free will and do as we are going to do. And she continues to love us unconditionally. And so you might be thinking, well, is that really what is needed in our world? To allow those we love to play out these self-destructive patterns and go on these self-destructive, tangents in their lives. And yes, we have to let go of those that we love so that they can find their own way. And when we do that, when we grieve and let go of what we hold on to in a human way, we then begin to learn about transcendent, unconditional love. The wounds that we carry from the mother and the father, and I'm more going to talk about the Divine Mother because she is so huge and central in our lives, and the Divine Father kind of comes along. We have both mother wounds and father wounds, but they hold very similar places within us. And so the places that we find those mother wounds are in those places of emptiness within us, of void space, those places within us that are void of love. And when we encounter these places, it can feel like terror. It can feel so overwhelming that we then find ways to fill it within our lives with addictions and with coping strategies, by keeping very busy, right? We do everything to avoid those places of void and emptiness within us. And those places of void and emptiness within us were the places that our mothers and fathers growing up weren't able to love. And so thus we then didn't learn how to love those places either. And so a lot of us carry these pockets within us. And as we heal with the Divine Mother and the Divine Father, we welcome in an archetypal frequency that loves those dark, empty, void spaces within us, that holds us in those places, that shines light into it and teaches us how to love it, how to love the void darkness without condition. The shadow frequency of the pink ray is the tyrant. The tyrant is the most despicable parts of ourselves, the most despicable parts that we see reflected within the society and culture around us. This is the unlovable. And our task, as difficult challenging, initiating as it is at this point in our human evolution, is to learn to love those despicable aspects. And we don't do that by learning how to love in those that really trigger us and set us off. We learn to recognize how those people and that trigger that's setting us off, how to find it within ourselves. And when we find it within ourselves, shining light on it, shining love into it, and embracing it, and bringing it back into wholeness and love. And so then when we encounter it in the world around us, it's not like we're going to be like, yes, yay, come. Maybe we will. We don't have to, but it's not going to set us off. And we can hold it with compassion and unconditional love and say, I set you free. I'm not going to be hooked in to that drama, to that terror, to that fear. I invite this energy to part, to return to source, to return to Mother Earth, because it does not serve me and it does not serve our planet. So can you tell how that approach that I just took with that energy is love, is unconditional love? And when we can come into seeing that unconditional love has many faces and expressions through us. And we come to that place by unconditionally loving ourselves. So this ray, the pink ray of love, is the bridge, is the gateway to the second half of the wheel of evolution. As we learn transcendent love in the pink ray, we then move into the transpersonal realm of holding ourselves as a fractal of the collective. So we shift slightly away from healing personal wounds into more healing collective wounds. Not that there is any clear division between that, right? Because these are all collective wounds, these are all personal wounds, but also learning to embody the divine archetypes that work in service to being a fractal of the collective. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you again soon as we move into the Emerald Ray very, very soon in the next moon.